Hello everyone, today we will look at a Condi Vindicator build for PvE that offers a ton of sustain with bursty damage while providing permanent 25 stacks of might, quickness, protection, vigor and more. This will help you a lot in any kind of PvE content you are doing, like for example getting masteries, doing the story, working on collections, all those kind of stuff. So let's move on to the build. For the gear, we will use a full set of Viper armor with Berserker runes, Viper mace and axe with Sigil of Smoldering and Sigil of Strength, and we have a Settler staff with Sigil of Energy and Leeching, and then our trinkets are full set of Celestial trinkets. For the food, we have Bowl of Orient Truffle, and for the utilities, we will use Writ of Calculated Malice, but if the prices for this item became a little too expensive in the future, then we will just use the Potent Master Tuning Crystals, which will last for 1 hour. For the traits and specializations, we are using Corruption 1, 3, 2, and then Salvation 3, 2, 2, and Vindicator 1, 3, 2. For the legends, we have the legendary Alliance stance and the legendary Dwarf stance. At the end of the video, I will show you more offensive traits and rotations that we can use if you want more damage and you feel like your sustain is okay as it is. The most important thing about this build will be to always dodge. From the Grandmaster trait, we will gain protection and 5 stacks of might and also do damage and shield to the enemies every time we dodge. And then from the Adapt trait, we will do 10% more damage when our endurance bar is not full, which basically means as you dodge. And then from the Salvation line, we have this Adapted trait will remove conditions when we dodge. And then the Healer's Grit minor trait will also heal us when we dodge. And then from this trait, we will have a lot of Vigor, which will enable us to dodge even more often. And the food we are taking will increase our endurance regeneration by 40%, which stacks with Vigor, which means you will be able to dodge very often. And also because we are going to be using this skill very often, this will also give you a lot of endurance, especially if you are fighting many mobs. And so you will find yourself constantly dodging with all the benefits it will provide. And then again in the Salvation line, we have this trait will give us a lot of barrier based on the boons we have, which you will have plenty of them. And then the Grandmaster trait will reduce the damage we take by 15% when we heal ourselves, which is basically the entire time. And then in Corruption is where we will get a lot of extra damage. We have this trait will make our Torment do 10% more damage, and then we get 120 extra condition damage from this one. And from the Pact of Pain Master trait, we do 15% extra condition duration, but we take 10% more condition duration, which is okay because we're going to have a lot of cleanses. And then here, we will do even 10% more condition duration for damaging conditions, and we will do a lot of Torment and Burning specifically. So basically from those two traits combined, we are doing 25% extra condition duration. And then from this trait, we will get resistance when we switch legends, which will also heal us for a big amount every second. And so this is a defensive option, which will work well because we're not really going to switch to Dwarf unless we needed the heals. Most of the time, we're going to be on the Alliance stance. So the way we are going to use the build is just make sure you are constantly dodging all the time, as often as you can. On top of that, whenever your Scavenger burst is ready, just use it. And then use your skill number 2 and skill number 5 whenever they are available. The elite skill can be very powerful, but only if you are fighting single targets, like for example a champ or a hero point or such. If you are fighting multiple enemies at the same time, don't use your elite, it will be a waste of energy. And from this Reaver's Rage skill, we will have a stun break and stability, so it can be very good to handle CCs. And it will also daze, which also makes it a CC on its own. So this is a skill that will do both things. It will CC the enemies and it will help you handle the CCs from them. If you are low on health and you need more sustain, there are a few things you can do. The first one is you can switch to the Defensive Alliance Legend, which will give you a bigger heal. It will also give you more cleanse and protection with a stun break and stability. You can also switch to Dwarf, which will give you access to extra heals, and then this will also give you resistance, remember, and resistance will give us heal every second from this trait, so this can also be very good. And then in Dwarf itself, you can use Vengeful Hammers, which will do damage and heal you for every hammer that will hit the enemy, so this can be very good passive heals. And we can also switch to our Staff, and even just from the auto attack on Staff, we will get some heals at the end of the chain. And then skill number 2 also is a heal, skill number 3 is a block and blindness, skill 4 is a cleanse and a heal. And don't forget that on the staff itself we have Sigil of Energy and Leeching, which means you will be able to dodge once you switch and it will siphon health immediately. So once more to be clear, Your Alliance offensive legend will be the one you will stay on most of the time to basically spam your scavenger burst. You will only switch to the defensive one if you need more heals, or you will also switch to dwarf for the same reason. If you struggle with sustain for any reason, you can have this trait instead, which will give you a lot of barrier and heals when you dodge. If you want to go more offensive to do more damage, in the corruption trait line, we can take the top Grandmaster trait, which will apply poison and burning when we switch legends, and also we're going to use the legendary demon stance, which will give us access to the elite skill, which will apply a lot of torment. But keep in mind that if you want to play this setup, you will need to switch legends a lot, otherwise this will not be as beneficial. So the way we will do this rotation is, always start on your Alliance legend, use Scavenger Burst, and then immediately switch to Demon, use your Elite, and then 2 and 5 whenever they are up, and wait for your Alliance legend to come back again, switch and repeat over and over. And don't forget to check my video on how to improve any open world build. I hope you enjoy this build when you try it, and of course if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I will now leave you with some footage, and thank you very much. I will see you in the next guide.